I don't expect everyone to know or care about what's happening in New York, you know? Which is why I was surprised that the nation seems so gripped by New York City's mayoral race. Like, this, people talk about it everywhere because I think it's just feels like a beta test for something bigger. You know? In case you're not familiar with who's running, right? You have to understand who's running to understand what's happening. Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City, and Eric Adams, in case you don't know, is one of the worst people at corruption I've ever seen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have a little mystery about you. Like, it's just, I feel like I could pay him off. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, one day when they make, like, his corruption is just, it's not enough. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be corrupt, go all in. He'd be having me feel bad for him. You know what I mean? You did all this corruption, that's all they gave you? You should have asked for more. It was very upsetting. If they ever revisit this chapter in New York mayoral history, everybody gonna be disappointed. Be like, flights? He went down for flights? Just tickets? You know what I mean? You had a dude in Illinois at least going down for gold bars. That's real corruption. That's like cartoon corruption. You know what I mean? Like, he took it back to the 50s level corruption. Break me off some gold bars, I'll get you anything you want. That's mustache twiddling, tie women to railroads corruption. That's crazy. And you over here embarrassing us as New Yorkers. This is a very rich city, and you going down for a couple flights to Turkey. Turkey! It's insane. But anyway, this dude got indicted while in office, but because he has no shame, everybody was like, he gonna step down, right? Like, he got stepped down once he's indicted. That's too embarrassing to go to work indicted. The closest thing I can imagine to, like, okay, okay, this is bad, my bad. Look, so when I was a kid, I mean, I was a little bit older, but my buddy's dad got in trouble, and he got a little time. He had to do like a year, right? But he did, one of the crimes, I still don't understand this, one of the crimes where you get to report to jail. Like, you get to report to, that's always weird, because whenever you watch Law and Order, they take you like, jail start right after usually that's jail, you know what I mean? Like, usually they take you out, I didn't do it, right? But for some reason, they told him he was guilty, but they let him, get his stuff in order, and he could report to jail. And that weekend, his son, my friend, took the car without permission and came home a little later than curfew. And clearly, his kid may be like acting out of frustration about things that are going on with his dad, but he gets home and his dad is very upset with him, and he's like, you didn't ask for permission for the car, you're supposed to be home by 10, I'm sorry, but you're grounded. And my buddy was like, no, I'm just throwing it out there, because which one of us got to go to jail on Monday? Like, it sounds like you grounded. It sounds like you really the one in trouble here. And that's kind of what it felt like with Adams. He's like, still trying to be a mayor, talk about crime and stuff. Over here talking about crime in the city. And so then you also have Curtis Sliwa. And Curtis Sliwa is the Republican running. And he's an interesting dude. He is. He's like the head of the Guardian Angels. If you don't know what the Guardian Angels are, they're basically these people who hang out on the subway. You know the movie The Warriors? All right, it's like that, but if one of the gangs wanted to be the police. Like, all they really do is just fight black and brown people that they think are doing a crime, and sometimes lose the fight very badly because they are getting older. And Curtis Sliwa, like, I guess I could slightly see how someone like him ends up like him, because he does have a story of violence against him for every story you bring up about New York City. Like, you'll be like, hey, do you ever take the yellow cab? He's like, I was shot in the back of a yellow cab in 1986. And you're like, how has this much happened to you? But Curtis Lee was running as a Republican. And then you have Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is a former governor, and now he is running for mayor because governor turned out so well. And then you have Zoran Mamdani. And Zoran Mamdani almost feels like a fixture of politics at the moment, because he is someone who seems to be the antidote for the thing that's been ailing the Democratic Party maybe for like 9 years. You know? This is a dude who is running on what he will do and his own policies that he believes in, and it's one of the first people, Democrat or Republican, that is running without really having to say anything about Trump. He has his own ideas. He has things he wants to do for the place that he is running. He's not running on being not like Trump or closer to Trump or someone Trump will call or someone that Trump hates. He is not using Trump in his orbit. People bring him up, but he himself is saying, I want to make the buses fast and free. I want to have free child care. I want to freeze the rent for rent-stabilized homes. And I want to make sure that we hold bad landlords accountable. Things that are very specific, because that's the other thing that it feels like the Democratic Party has been missing, is a clear and concise plan for a policy, something that you can attach yourself to, that you don't really need to get in the weeds for. Because I'm not saying that Democratic senators and Democratic candidates have not had good plans. I'm just saying that once you need a graph, we are a country that doesn't like to read. It doesn't matter if it's a pie chart, it's still reading. Because one of the things that they've come after Mamdani about over and over and over again about his policies, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to do this? How do you plan to pay for it, right? And one thing that he's done very well is had a quick and simple explanation for his plans to pay for something, So when they ask him about maybe the bus system or maybe more rent stabilization, he'll say, oh, we already spend this much money. So for the buses, he's like, we already generate $700 million in a bus fare. I think that would, is clearly money that we could use towards a free bus system. Also, all we have to do is raise the corporate tax rate, and we'll have billions of extra dollars that could go towards childcare, billions of extra dollars that could go towards like a bus system. And then they're like, well, how do you plan to pay for it? Raising the corporate tax. Well, what will happen if you raise the corporate tax? People will leave. Where you raising the corporate tax to? And he'll be like, oh, I'm just raising it to the same as New Jersey. Like what they already do right there. Like they actually already do it over there. I guess you didn't know that, but it's already, I would just copy them. It wouldn't be higher than that. Like I would copy what they do over there. And I don't know, is everyone dead in New Jersey? I don't think so. I don't think everybody left. In fact, a lot of people moved there. So I think they'll be fine. But I don't think that Zoran is leading in the polls or is the Democratic candidate because of his clear and concise policy. I don't even think it's his youth. I don't even think it's because he's captured a moment. I think that he is the front runner because he, more so than anybody else, to a degree I've never seen before, is the number one. I'm telling you, the number one of all time, the number one Andrew Cuomo hater. He hates this dude. He hates this dude so much. He hates this man. He wake up and hate him. He wake up and he hate him with a smile too. You ever had somebody hate you with a smile? It makes you feel crazy. You're like, what you just said to me was foul, but you're smiling. Why are you smiling? No, he hates this dude. And look, don't get me wrong, they all hate him. Like every candidate hates Cuomo. Eric Adams hated Cuomo so much that even though he had zero chance of winning, even though he was actually campaigning, this man was like, look, I'm gonna do it better next time. And we're like, do you mean crime? Do you mean... Eric Adams, he's even, look, to his credit, he is stumping with Cuomo. He's over there side by side with Cuomo and everything, probably looking for a job because he's about to be out of one. You know what I mean? Like he is out there with Cuomo, but you can tell he hates this dude. Sliwa hates him. Curtis Sliwa hates Cuomo. He hates Cuomo so much that he was actually asked by a reporter, you know, you're over here getting about 11% in the polls. Why not drop out if you don't want Zoran to win that much? Why not drop out? And clearly the people voting for you might also vote for Cuomo. And then Curtis Sliwa looked really offended. He was like, why would I drop out? People like me. This man is running as a Republican in New York City, and he's still like, I'm not gonna drop out if it helps him. Zoran Mondani hates Cuomo. He hates that dude so much. Hates him so effectively. Real hate. I've never hated somebody so much. I learned all their stats. Zoran hates Cuomo so much, he memorized everything Cuomo ever did wrong and bring it up any chance he get. That's generational hate. I think Andrew Cuomo hates Andrew Cuomo because he running. It's like, why are you putting yourself through this? You know, man. Because then you look at the debates. Okay. This is very important. I gotta go back in the story for a second because Andrew Cuomo wasn't always hated. Even if you hate him right now, think back to a time where you didn't even know who he was. That time he was like beloved. People forget all about it because that's kind of what we do whenever somebody has lost favor in the public eye. A lot of people say they never liked him or that they don't really know why anyone ever liked him. But people loved Cuomo, especially 2019 into 2020. People loved that dude. People loved Cuomo so much. I think that's why people hate him so much now. Because everything he did feels like such a betrayal of their love. You know, people were out here calling themselves Cuomo-sexuals. Look it up. That's a real thing. People loved him so much. And then he got popular around the same time that like zaddy became a term and everything. So he was riding some of that wave and stuff. And you know, there were people, oof. Cuomo couldn't go anywhere without middle-aged women fawning. They were like, oh, he's so handsome. They loved Cuomo. And then COVID came. And for a little while, they loved him even more because New York's numbers during COVID looked really, really bad initially. Obviously, it would. It's an epicenter of travel. People go there from all over the world, and we're also on top of each other all the time, pandemic or no pandemic. But then, we saw these huge numbers that scared everybody, and Cuomo's like, we're going to take this seriously, we're going to lock everything down, and he announced a bunch of policies. As soon as he announced those policies went into effect, and you saw the numbers crater. It was genuinely amazing to watch. It really felt like there was a lot of hope, and everybody was going to live, and this is a long time before the vaccine came out or anything, so it was when people were at peak fear, right? But it was a wild time in New York because we had shut down so effectively that for the first time in New York City, the air was clean. You could take a deep breath. And then later, there was a scandal. Basically, it was exposed that Cuomo was doing some of the same things that Ron DeSantis was accused of doing in Florida, because Florida also had some pretty good numbers during COVID, which is weird because they didn't have any real shutdowns. They didn't have any real mask regulations or anything like that. But then both Cuomo and DeSantis were caught just not reporting or telling people not to report certain numbers. And it turned out that New York was looking really, really good in certain sections of the lockdown, except for nursing homes. And so the thing that's really important about that is that if you see the numbers going down and you've set up a bunch of policies, you'll think, okay, we should just keep doing this, see if the numbers go down further, right? If the numbers go up, you're like, clearly we need to change something. So because we did not have those markers of spikes, we didn't change things. And so there were a lot of seniors that died that didn't need to. They died in nursing homes because of protocols that just didn't have enough evidence around them and weren't the best practices, right? And he was covering it up. Some were saying by 50%, right? And so people started to like him a heck of a lot less. And then at the same time, basically in tandem, he was accused by about 11 women of sexual harassment. Then it was 13. That's stats. Those are numbers. Double digits, you doing it. You are clear. 13 women who don't know each other all got a story about you. That's you. You doing it. All of a sudden, nobody was Cuomo-sexual anymore. And everybody was telling this dude to resign, but he tried to fight it. He was like, I'm going to fight these allegations. You're going to see my name's going to be cleared. And we were like, all right, but even if they clear your name on these sexual harassment allegations, you still did the nursing home thing. And so everybody from Joe Biden to Eric Adams was telling this dude to resign. And he finally resigned in 2021. And now he's running for mayor. That's just important to make sure you know, because I've watched people struggle before in a way that was kind of what looked like a bit of a lost cause. I try to be optimistic for people that are in my life, but I'll give you an example. My buddy wanted to enter an arm wrestling contest, and we are built the same. I'm never going to tell anybody not to follow their dream, but I won't let someone sleepwalk off a building. And so I was like, are you sure? Because, you look like a mirror right now, and I'm not entering any arm wrestling. But he's like, no, I want to do it. Been watching online. It's so cool. There's actually a tournament coming up. I want to go. And so, I went with him. We went, and this dude squares up. It was one of those ones where they got the peg on one side, but you grab it, and they got your arm with the pad for your elbow. And sure enough, they went. And as soon as they started, he was over here. And I couldn't believe that this man was actually winning. He was like pushing the arm down, and then he won. I was surprised. You know, like when people got that farmer strength? You don't see any like real definition of muscle. It's all smooth, but they're incredibly strong. I was like, maybe that's him. And then I watched him from round to round. This man got to the semifinals. And at the semifinals, somebody walked up who really did look like a final boss. In my head, I was like, you've done very well for yourself. It's time to pack it up before he take the arm for good. It's gonna pop right out the socket. I'm gonna leave with one. And sure enough, he squared up. And then they told him to go, and he, But this was different. This dude wasn't really moving, but he was really strained, even leaning a bit. And then he started to make noises he hadn't made in the other rounds. Once you scream in an arm wrestling contest, you have lost something. This man, and he's straining, and he's straining, and he's straining till finally he goes, and he won. Now, to be fair, he won because the other guy went, and apparently that is a disqualification. Yeah, even when we were in the car ride home, we did have to leave. He didn't get to go to the finals because even when we were in the car, I was over there trying to be optimistic. I was over there like, at least you won. I give you an example of how much Zoran Mamdani hates Andrew Cuomo. In the first debate, right? In the first debate, it was Curtis Lewa, Zoran Mamdani, and Andrew Cuomo all on stage together. Really, the race is between these two, but every once in a while we throw Curtis a question. And Cuomo's talking, and he goes, look, this is not a job. Being a mayor of one of the richest, biggest cities in the country is not a place for on-the-job experience. You know, this guy's never had a job before, and I don't think he can run the city. He definitely can't run it like I can. I can do a much better job. This is not a job for experience while you're in it. You gotta know, you gotta come with plans of what you're gonna do. And to his credit, Zoran, you know, it's like, I do have plans for what I'm gonna do. I've stated my plans clearly. Your only plan is to attack me. And Cuomo also came at him with a couple of things that are like talking points that a bunch of the candidates have used that they're not really clicking for me, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't have enough Islamophobia to have it register. But one of the things that Cuomo brings up is like, this man still, you know, won't denounce the phrase globalize the Intifada. All right, he's over here lobbing accusations at me. He still won't denounce the phrase globalized antifada. What Andrew Cuomo is referring to, supposedly, is a time where someone else said it and Zoran didn't, I guess, tackle them. This isn't language that he used. It's not something he said. It's something that someone else said that I guess he didn't do enough about in Cuomo's eyes, right? Mamdani responded, well, look, you're talking about things that are from 2020. And since we're talking about things that are from 2020, I don't know why, people would elect a mayor who sent so many seniors to their deaths in nursing homes. What I lack in experience, I make up for in integrity. And for what you lack in integrity, you could never make up for in experience. And I've never watched any debate like a rap battle. I was sitting in front of the computer like, oh! Get him! No, it's wild. Even Curtis Lewa got in digs on Cuomo. Cuomo's catching it from all angles. Because then, they were talking about the accusations that had been lobbed at Cuomo during his time as governor. And Curtis Lewa goes, really? You spent all that money defending yourself? Really? All 13 women are lying, Andrew? All 13 women? This man hates Cuomo so much, he is standing up for women as a Republican. This dude hates Cuomo with all his heart. Oh, this dude hates Cuomo so much. And then the second debate was even worse. There was a moment in the second debate where the candidates were allowed to ask each other a question. It was just question and answer. They couldn't go back and forth. You just got a question, you had to answer. And Cuomo went over on Mamdani and he was like, you took a picture with this leader in Uganda. Did you know that this leader is actually someone who denounces all rights for gay people? They've actually worked on making it illegal to be gay in Uganda, and you took a picture with them. And Zoran answered, listen, at the time, I did not know this person's policies. I took a picture with this person. If I had known, I would not have taken that picture, full stop, right? And then it was Zoran's turn. And Zoran asked, he was like, Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, you were credibly accused by 13 women of sexual harassment. And in that time, you spent $20 million of taxpayer funds to defend yourself from all of these women. And you've lobbed, lawsuits, and you've worked with judges for gag orders and everything. You filed defamation suits on all these women. You have actually tried to obtain gynecological medical records of some of these women. Well, one of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is actually here tonight in the audience. And she can't even tell her story or speak for herself because you've lodged a defamation suit against her. But I can speak, so I want to ask on all of their behalfs, what do you say to the 13 women that accused you of sexual harassment? And it's in that moment I realized I wasn't hating to my full potential as a person. You know what I mean? Like, I am a C-tier hater when it comes to this level of hate is unprecedented. I thought Kendrick hated Drake. This is truly wild. Because what can you do if you're Cuomo? I'll tell you what he did. He went, You went to Uganda? Truly, I have not seen a face like that on a person. Like Andrew Cuomo's face when it was happening. I hadn't seen anyone make a face like that since my friend won his arm wrestling contest. I feel like the same thing was happening to Cuomo that happened to my buddy. And Zoran is still leading in the polls, you know? And one of the reasons that I think that he's still leading is because some of these efforts to stop Mondai have only helped him. Only helped him, because billionaires have come out in force against every policy and against Zoran as a candidate. And that says a lot. They're like accidentally making him more popular. You know? President Trump even said that if Zoran wins, he may have to mobilize the National Guard, take over New York City, which would be not just like a spit in the face to an open, free, and fair election, but what messaging does that look like to you? That you might have to send the National Guard and take over a city if the dude who wants free pre-K wins? No? Like, all their efforts, they've spent so much money. Zoran himself has said, y'all are spending way more money on ads trying to campaign against me than I was even going to tax you. You don't want it that bad, and why don't you want it that bad? That's crazy. There's something happening here, and I think that's why it's got so much tension across the nation. I think that, you know, America's very good at telling a story, and America is a salesman unto itself. It's like a salesman of a dream and of an idea, you know. And people, you know, one of the things that Trump and other people have said about Zoran is that he's a communist. He says he's a socialist, but he's a communist. And maybe that would have worked like 20 years ago. That might have worked. But we are a capitalist country. We all live in capitalism. And it's going poorly enough for enough people that they're willing to try anything. So calling someone a communist, this sort of Russia red, China red scare, it just doesn't hit the same when people are working jobs and still can't afford to feed their families. And then along comes someone with not just a lot of energy, but a lot of hope that says it doesn't have to be this way. Look at what they do over there. If we just did what they do over there, we'd be able to have more things for us, which is our money anyway. A lot of people have this misconception that the money that a corporation makes is all theirs and was all earned. But they got that money from how much they pay their workers, how much they actually provide for their consumers. And you see that when left up to their own devices, they skimp on, let's say it's just food, they skimp on ingredients, they skimp on workers, they skimp on. And then one day when they have $1 billion valuation, we look at them as if to tax them would be taking their $1 billion instead of just taking back what is owed to the people that made them great, you know? And so I think that what is so scary for people about Zoran that really don't like him is that he is a reminder to a lot of people that you are a citizen, you're not a consumer, you are a constituent, you're not a customer. Like the story that gets told now, especially by our politicians, is that if you ask for what is owed to you, what is actually yours, you're asking for a handout. But you already paid for these things, and you pay them. So the idea that these people would all stand together in unison against this person who just wants to make the bus free should tell you something. And all of them stand together against him in the way that they are, with all the money they're throwing at him, and with all the fear-mongering that they're doing. It's having the opposite effect, because now to vote for him, even if you don't even like him, you get to stick it to a billionaire, people you already don't like. So what you've accidentally done is made voting for him like kind of cool as well. It would be like if you didn't want someone to date someone else, but the way that you lobbed things at them, the things that you said about them to try to discourage this person from dating this other person, would be like if you sat them down and said, oh, you don't want to get with him? No, his penis too big. He's just... You don't even want those problems. You don't.
Make some noise for Josh Johnson! because so much is going into the Super Bowl this year. Not only is it Chiefs versus Eagles, there's so much more at play, you know? Like, everybody talks about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce because they're this idea of like the couple we imagine in our minds, but they're adults. It's like high school, but grown up. You know what I mean? Because she symbolically is like this cheerleader in our minds, this like head cheerleader, and it's not his position, but it's symbolically the quarterback in our minds. And so them getting together makes such perfect rom-com sense that there are actually people who think that all of the NFL is fixed just to keep the Chiefs winning, just to keep them going. And honestly, you kind of have to give Taylor props. There are people that think she's so powerful. She is single-handedly shifting the course of the NFL. You know, because this is my thing with it. You know, if it's fixed, why would they be tackling so hard? You don't need to sell it that bad. If most of the teams know they're not going to the Super Bowl, I think you lay off of a couple hits. I don't think anybody's getting CTE as part of a script. I look at Taylor Swift, I look at what they did to Taylor Swift, especially that part of the season when her and Travis Kelce were just starting to date and they cut to her for no reason. And then people got mad that they were cutting to her. They'd be like, why do you keep cutting to Taylor? But Taylor can't control the camera. Taylor was just trying to eat. And then they cut to her, and then she's doing her best to probably not look annoyed, but also she's genuinely having a good time. She's there with her friends. Yeah, touchdown, yeah, right? But then people are like, why do you keep cutting to her? I don't know. This has never happened before. Cameraman's excited too. They might not even mean to cut to her every time. They're just probably like, man, this is a good play, but I wonder what Taylor's up to. Don't get mad at Taylor because the cameraman got a crush. And so then Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce together. Now Travis Kelce is an interesting dude to me. He really is. Because Travis Kelce, up until this point, I don't know him that well, I don't follow him that closely, but I think he had like mostly, if not only, dated black women before Taylor, you know? And so he has like a fade. So this dude has a fade, and people were asking him about his fade because he has his platform raised. He was already super popular, but his platform got knocked up a few levels by dating Taylor. There were more eyes on him than ever before. And so then, you know, everyone was asking him about his fade. And then about exactly a year ago, from when I'm speaking right now, they asked him about his fade and what it was like to like invent that look. And to his credit, Travis Kelce said, it's the first day of Black History Month. What are you trying to do to me? Which, what an answer. You know what I mean? Like, this is the thing I really didn't think about until that moment, is that if you're like a white dude, right? And something ignorant or even bigoted happens around you. Somebody asks an ignorant question, or somebody just says something, right? The expectation, if you're a good guy, is to say something immediately, just really stand up and be like, hey, that's not cool, that's not okay, don't do that, right? You know, just really, you can't even give it a second. You have to be like, hey, stop, right there, okay? Hey, listen here, pal, cut it out. Hey, look, buddy, don't go any further, all right? Gosh darn it, that's racist. Don't you dare, not in my house, not. Nah, get a load of this guy. No way, not today, brother, right? That's the expectation, that you're gonna like notice it, you're gonna catch it, and you're gonna jump on it immediately. And if you don't do that, then you must have been with that thing. That's the assumption, right? But then you're also, and I really didn't give some of my white friends enough credit in this position. If you take too much of a stand, that's also suspicious. You know what I mean? You hear me? Like if something like ignorant happens around you, or an ignorant question gets asked of you, and then you're like, what? No! Racism? Not today! Nah, buddy, I'm putting my foot down. Because then people are like, oh, what? Are you hiding something? Why are you so amped up like this? You know? And so to his credit, he's like, guys, look, it's the first day of Black History Month. What are you trying to do to me? All right? I didn't invent that look, okay? I got a barber. He knows how to do the taper. Trim it down in the back, 2 or the 4. But if you want a fade, I know a guy. I know a dude. He's good. You know, he does mine. Travis Kelce's sitting there like, what kind of questions are you asking me? How do y'all not know any black people? You cover the NFL. What's wrong with you? You know? And Travis and Taylor together, they do, to me at least, you know, the little bit that I engage with it, because I don't necessarily follow either one of them closely, but every time I see them together, they do look like picture perfect in a way where I'm like, okay, obviously you're going to get the conspiracy theories, but the conspiracy theories were weird to me because they were like people upset. But what's there to be upset about? It's football. She's blonde. We're in America. This is the most American thing that could be happening. And there are people that are like, no, it's a psyop. I'm like, against who? It's a beautiful white couple. Who are we trying to trick? What is the plan here? That's how you can tell there's some people that just need to be mad about anything possible. I'm like, what? You're the one that said stop kneeling, and now you're mad at Taylor and Travis Kelce for holding hands. What's crazy about the Super Bowl for me is that no matter who wins, no matter who it is, the celebrations I've always found very odd. You know? I understand celebrating when you get the touchdown. I love those. I hated when the NFL tried to like clamp down on any showboat, any celebrations, because you just did one of the hardest things in the world. Imagine if you did that for like a scientist. Scientist finds the cure and he can't even do a little. And you're like, Josh, why are you comparing scientists finding cures to players getting a touchdown? I'm telling you right now, they're almost as hard as each other. Because I have some pretty sizable individuals in my family, you know. And I have a cousin, he's in 2'11", all muscle. If I wanted to get around him, I'd need something sharp. So trust me when I tell you, if I get around this man and then outrun him and then get a touchdown, I'm hitting the I'm hitting it hard. I'm hitting it in his face because it may never happen again. I love like a good touchdown celebration. They spike that ball, and then you see what moves they have because these are big men. These are very big men, so they're not always the most agile. Like, they're good at running, but usually in a straight line. A lot of the times when these players fall, it's falls where, look, I'm not a professional athlete, but I don't tip that easy. Every once in a while, you'll see an NFL player run it, and then somebody just sort of moves their shoulder, and they're like, uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. That's my favorite, is when they catch it and then somebody's too close and they're like, we going down. All right. No, but when they get in the zone, they've spiked the ball, there's a couple seconds left, and they're allowed to celebrate. This is when you could really do it. And they hit something you didn't even think was possible, you know. Really flowy with it. You know what I mean? They use their hips and stuff. And so, that's my favorite. I wish it was even longer. They should get more time to do it, you know? Like, hockey has whole breaks for fights. You could let a guy run in and get on his hands and knees, and then the other guy's like, yeah! No, I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing to see them that excited, that happy. This is what they work for. This is what they put their bodies on the line for, and it's why they're in pain most of the time. These dudes retire, and it's not like they can just take an Advil. They just have headaches for the rest of their life. And so in this moment, they did what they came to do. They scored. Maybe they won. Let them celebrate, you know? Some of the celebrations I don't get, though. Like, when they win, and they have to throw some sort of liquid on the coach. I feel like we never ask the coach how they feel about it. Because they don't always look excited. It's almost like a requirement that whatever it is has to have some ice. And it has to be a surprise. They never do it from the front. It's always just poured all over the coach. Why is it? They win. They did what they came here to do, and they look at the coach and they're like, yeah, drown him. He'll love it. On top of everything, with Travis and Taylor and the Chiefs, you have the Eagles. Eagles fans, truly remarkable. They're terrifying. And it doesn't matter who wins, because whichever city wins, this happens every year, every Super Bowl, every Stanley Cup, whichever city wins looks like it's been attacked the next day. Why is it that the winning city looks so busted? The day you won, why are you tearing up your city? The team will win. And then their own fans will go out into the city and cause so much destruction. You would think the other team sent their city. Like, go get them, Kansas City. What they did to us. You know, I've watched it. I've watched it happen. You know, I lived in Chicago when the Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup. And a bus. They were leaving. Everybody's excited. And then there was just like a group think, that's a bus. It shouldn't be right side up. Let's go correct that right now. And then the bus driver is sitting in the bus like, y'all, I'm your ride. Why are y'all? Uh-oh, we're going down. And on top of it all, you have the Super Bowl halftime show performed by Kendrick Lamar. And as far as we know, SZA and potentially some other guests, you know. And this is wild. You know, Kendrick said it about himself, but truly, we're seeing astronomical, historical levels of him being the biggest hater in the world. Fundamental hate. A hater where I pray I never have a hater that plans as well and executes hate so efficiently as Kendrick Lamar. This man hates the level of hate. Okay, so if you are not aware, in the beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, the first song that you could say maybe even kicked off the whole thing, some people say it was like that, but some people say it was First Person Shooter. And in First Person Shooter, Drake says, big as the what? Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl. And I guess Kendrick said, challenge accepted. Because you're not ready for the level of hate I can bring. And then there was a whole beef and this whole thing happened. And, you know, Kendrick kind of, I don't know, I guess ruined Drake's life. And then it's announced that Kendrick is going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime show. And Drake, he started suing. He started suing different parties. He started suing in different ways, different lawsuits claiming different things, some defamation, some were just petitions to get information, claiming that Not Like Us, the song that I'm assuming plays in Drake's head 24/7. You know, that song that they use bots. They must use bots. That's why it's so popular and everything. And then he withdrew one lawsuit and he filed another lawsuit. And it would seem, I'm not Drake and I'm not on his team and I don't know his lawyers, but it would seem that all these lawsuits are to in some way, hopefully, possibly, stop Kendrick Lamar from performing Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. That is what a lot of people think all of this is about. He just doesn't want him to perform that song at the Super Bowl. And so maybe he thinks that if he causes enough legal trouble and kicks up enough of a fuss, that the NFL will be like, hey, sir, Mr. Lamar, Mr. Mayoral. I heard it, great album. If you could not do this one, because we just don't want to be involved in any suits and stuff. I think that's what Drake was hoping. And it appears that has not worked, because then a representative for the NFL came out and said Kendrick can do whatever songs he wants, whatever, it's his halftime show, so let him perform, you know what I mean? And that's got to be rough. That must be rough if you're Drake to hear that, because now all Drake can potentially do is sue sound. That's the only thing he hasn't tried. If he comes out and it's like, hey, anybody making noise can get it, all right? It's the only thing I can think of. You know what I mean? Because it must be terrifying. If you're Drake, to think that Kendrick might perform Not Like Us at the Super Bowl halftime show, one of the most watched events in television, period, might be him doing a song he wrote about you. A song that already, as I'm speaking, has won 3 Grammys. That's gotta be terrifying, to think that he might go out there and perform Not Like Us at the Super Bowl. And the audience knows every word. That would be terrible. That would be, because I would never want to know that. Even if somebody made a song that was devastating about me and my life and it really tore me up and everybody liked it, I wouldn't want to know that they knew it word for word. That's got to be terrifying to think that Kendrick Lamar might get out there and perform Not Like Us. Might to a loud stadium of fans screaming. Try and strike a chord, and it's probably I think even scarier than Kendrick performing Not Like Us is the audience performing Not Like Us. Because honestly, anticipation is enough. That's how real entertainment works, Whether he performs it 17 times or he doesn't perform it at all, it's already met the moment in that way, Everyone kicking up a stink about it is what actually caused it to get so much attention, just to see if he'll do it, I mean, I hope he does it. I kind of hope it's the only thing he does. Mainly because the Super Bowl halftime show is recorded and it has all of its own production elements that gets them submitted for the Emmys. And so there's a chance that this Grammy-winning song might become an Emmy-winning performance. I will say though, sometimes it feels like with sports, it's the only time you see so much investment. You see so much come out, like just thrill, agony, all these emotions around a dude's team, around that game, around players and stuff. And I think it's because sports is one of the few places, maybe even one of the last places, that a man can express all the aspects of human emotion. He can cry over his team losing. He can be elated. He can be giddy like a little kid or something. And it's one of the last socially acceptable places. It's very easy. It's very easy to say no, just cry. It's okay for men to cry, but you're not ready. I love when people say no, come on. Just break through decades and generations of trauma to just do what feels like what you want to be doing. No, the only thing stopping you is your mind. As if it's that simple, Sports is one of the last few places that these bonds can be created and that you can fully express yourself. It even creeps up in little different ways. Things that you are innocuous enough, but they run cover for other things, right? Let's go. Every one of us here knows a man who has a water bottle. Maybe it's half full, maybe it's a quarter full, but he throws it up in the air. And it flips, and it flips, and it flips, and then if it lands right side up on a flat surface, he will lose his mind. He throws the ball up, it flips, lands right side up. Let's go! Let's go was just invented to run cover for dudes crying. It is. Go! It's the same mouth movement. It's the same shapes. And if you scream, let's go hard enough, you squint. And when you squint, people can't tell you're crying. Because we've all known a man All of us here have known a man where his team, whatever the reason it is that he loves that team, it doesn't matter. His team is down. All right? Loved this team since he was a little kid. Memories going to the stadium and everything. His team is down. It's a very important game. Playoff game. Maybe the game that decides whether or not his team goes to the Super Bowl. This team that he loves, who maybe has never got this far in a long, long time. And they're down with 3 seconds left. They have possession, and they throw a Hail Mary pass. All right? Wide receiver is running for his life as hard as he can. He jumps up in the air, and then by his fingertips, he manages to get control of the ball in the air. He clenches it tight. He lands. Touchdown. Touchdown. The team was behind, and now they're ahead. They've won. There were 3 seconds left. The game is over. And then your friend, who's not on the team, who's not at the game, your friend on his couch pops up in front of the TV. Let's go! Like truly, as men, I don't even think we would need let's go if we just felt more comfortable saying, I really needed that. Because I even try now to add more sports analogies in the examples that I make, because I feel like it accesses some people who don't get what I'm saying otherwise. There are people that are truly, we give them a bad rap and everybody makes fun of them and everything, but there are people who are genuinely very, very intelligent. You can tell they're intelligent because they find a game that they love and all the game theory around it and all of the possible combinations of what a play could be go through their head. They can screen a play perfectly, almost like it has the lines that we see on the screen, right? But for them, it's playing out perfectly. They know what's happening next. They know someone's made a mistake as soon as the play starts because they understand the game that much. They just don't ever know why their wife is mad. But I think if we incorporated more sports analogies in arguments, people would understand what went wrong. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're mad at your boyfriend or your husband because he forgot something. He forgot something that was really important, you know? And maybe it was like your sister's birthday and you had so much going on that you asked him to go pick something up and then meet you at the party. And instead of going to pick it up, he just met you at the party. And now the place is closed. And so it looks like you didn't get your sister anything. And so you're upset with him because you asked him for this one thing. And instead of doing it, he just kind of blew it off, or he wasn't paying attention, or he genuinely just forgot and then showed up and he doesn't understand why you're upset. But if you say to him, look, it was fourth quarter. It was fourth quarter, and you're at the 3rd yard line. Like, you're in danger of the other team getting a safety. That's how clutch this is. You only have a few seconds to pass off that ball, right? And if you don't do it just right, that's it, you know? We're not coming back from this, you know? And instead of looking out for your receiver who's wide open until 5 p.m. like I said, who's wide open. Instead of passing off to your receiver in that moment, you're looking at your tight end, you're looking at your other receiver, you're looking at defensive linemen for some reason, like your head is just in the clouds, and out of nowhere you allow yourself to get sacked, right? I'm telling you, that husband, that boyfriend, these are good people. He would be like, oh, damn. Her present was the receive. Oh. Got you. My bad, baby, my bad. No. Even in instances that people are like insanely divided on, like to the point of threats, to the point of the threat of violence, even in political arguments, if you use some sort of football analogy, sometimes that cuts through, you know? Like if Trump is the quarterback. And he hikes the ball, because this is the play that he called. He called this play. This was his play that he wanted. He gets to call the play. Not always, not every play, but this play specifically. He called this play because he wanted to do it, because he thought it was a good idea. This was his play, right? And then everybody was open. The tight end was open. The wide receiver was open. All right, defensive backs. Everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. Everybody on the sideline was cheering, giving support like they were supposed to, and everybody on the field was playing their position as best as possible. And the screen was even working well. You know, everybody's moving out of here. People are wide open, and then your quarterback, rather than throwing what could potentially be a touchdown pass, he just sort of threw it out of bounds. Which is confusing. So the next time that y'all huddle up, you ask him, you're like, hey, what was that? What happened? That was the play that you picked. Why'd you throw it out? Were you scared you were gonna get sacked? What is it a time thing? You're trying to stop the clock? Like you're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt in as many ways as you can. Like, hey, so what's the plan here? You're literally bent over, huddled up, looking in close. What's the plan? What are you doing? What is the goal here? Because I thought I was playing my position perfectly, and then you do the. So what's next? What happened? Tell me what happened. And then your quarterback is like, I think the ball was black. I don't know. You know? I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying that when I tune in to the Super Bowl on Sunday, I plan to watch a good game, hopefully a game that makes sense, hopefully a game that is epic enough that it can yield more analogies for my daily life. And if Kendrick Lamar performs Not Like Us, I'd be a liar if I didn't tell you that even though I wasn't on stage and I wasn't at the game, I wouldn't pop up off my couch like, let's go! Cincinnati, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
When I